Do you remember your first kiss? How about where you went to high school or your homecoming? When you recall these personal life experiences, you can remember the feelings and emotions that occurred with these life memories also. You can remember what the day looked like. Maybe it was sunny and warm or snowing really hard that day. These are very personal life experiences that we can recall thanks to our episodic memory and our temporal lobes. Hi, I'm Debra and your host of Answers About Alzheimer's, where we tackle everything dementia. My promise is to help you through your journey. I've been on this journey, and I know you need all the help and understanding you can get. On this channel, we educate both professional and family caregivers at every level, and all are welcome here. If this is your first exposure to Answers About Alzheimer's, I'm happy you're here, and I hope you return often, and please subscribe. We are a very inclusive group, kind and supportive, so please subscribe. I have a free download gift for you at answersaboutalz.org. It's called Understanding Expressive Aphasia. I have plenty of amazing free guides and gifts for you on my website, again, at answersaboutalz.org. Make sure you check it out. Thousands of people just like you have gotten some wonderful things there. Today, we're going to talk about one of the lobes of the brain. When I teach, I like to take my students a little bit deeper. So do me a favor. When we're talking about the brain functions during this video, or even in other videos, and what different parts of the brain do, instead of just listening and learning what this part of the brain is used for and how it has an impact on our lives, I want you to instead be thinking, what would it be like if this part of my brain was damaged? What if I am no longer able to do what this portion of my brain does, or it's impaired? When you take this different approach, it will help you to have a deeper understanding of what the struggles of the person with neurodegeneration is experiencing. So as we go along, think to yourself, what would it be like for me if these abilities were suddenly taken away from me? What would happen? How would my life change? What struggles would I face? And how much more pressure and stress would I be under as a result? You know, maybe you should write these down. Grab a pen and a piece of paper and rewind to the beginning of those questions. These are great questions to refer to later on when you watch the other videos covering other lobes of the brain and their functions. If you write this down, this will help you have a deeper understanding and compassion for your person. Okay, so remember, think about these brain functions, how they would affect your daily life. The temporal lobes of the brain are located behind your ears. We have two of them, one on the right and one on the left. They are the second largest lobes of the brain. And as you might already assume, they are very close to your ears. So the temporal lobes assist in processing hearing, and they also encode our memory from the hippocampus, where our most recent memories are stored. By that I mean the temporal lobe encodes or interprets the information, consolidates the information, and can retrieve that information, kind of like a filing system in an office, stored, organized, and received. The temporal lobes help us understand language, like the interpretation part of language, and it makes us recognize faces and tells us that we recognize an object from the past. Wow, that's a lot. I want to back up a little bit here. So understanding language, this can really go deep, but even just one aspect is if the person with Alzheimer's or dementia hears your words that you're saying to them in a mixed up order, they won't understand you. Or if the volume is too low, or there's too much or any background noise that they can't filter out. Okay, so think, how would that part of being damaged impact your relationships and functionality? Now, facial recognition. If this part of the brain has been compromised and you have trouble recognizing your loved ones, that's some tough stuff. You feel bad that they don't know who you are, but think about how they feel. Who are all these people? I don't know anyone here. How terrifying would that be? Just let that sink in for a minute. Is this eye-opening for you? Is this good stuff? Yeah. Do me a favor. Type wow in the comments below. The right and the left temporal lobes actually function differently from each other. The left is usually the dominant in most people and contributes mostly to language, learning, memorization, forming speech, and remembering conversations. Whereas the right is typically the less dominant and it assists in learning and memorization of nonverbal information, such as drawings or street signs, listening to music, and recognizing facial expressions. And what those expressions mean and actually interpret what these facial expressions would be trying to convey. By now, I'm hoping that you're getting a clear grasp on the importance of what the temporal lobes are responsible for. But more importantly, when these delicate lobes have been compromised, that the impact for the person. For example, if the part of the brain that is responsible for forming speech, they can't articulate what they want or need, which is very frustrating for them. Imagine that you can't communicate anymore. Imagine you're in a foreign country and you're trying to get home, but no one can understand you. You're desperate to get home. You need it so badly, but no one understands. This is where their anger comes from. They are frustrated and they can't communicate what they want or need. They so desperately want to. Wow, there's another one. Type wow in the comments again. The temporal lobes get information input from other parts of the brain and from your surroundings. And the temporal lobe converts sounds into visual images. This is super, super interesting. So, this is how it works. It works with our mental imagery. So, we take a sound and the brain temporal lobes is able to turn it into a visual picture. So think of something like if you hear footsteps, you know there's a person nearby. You picture a person walking in your head. If you hear the doorbell ring, then you can see somebody standing outside your door and you know to go and answer the door. So imagine if you have dementia and your phone rings, but you can't picture a telephone or answering the phone. If you hear a roller coaster, you will picture an amusement park ride of a roller coaster in your head. If you hear running water, you may picture a sink or a shower or a lawn sprinkler. If you hear church bells, you would envision a church or a church service. So when this part of the brain is damaged, you can see how this could really affect communication and understanding your environment. If we're not able to interpret sounds into mental imagery, and this is called memory encoding, by the way, it's how our brain encodes sounds with memories. Isn't that totally cool? And taking this one step further, because it's part of our brain, helps with facial recognition. This multisensory interpretation merges facial expressions with voice integration. Aha. So it takes the voice and the language along with the facial expressions to interpret a sentence and the feelings behind the communication. So the person with brain damage is no longer able to do that. There are two different types of memory that are associated with the temporal lobe. The first is our episodic memories. These are our personal autobiography memories. It is the ability to recall our own personal history of events, personal experiences. It's where we can reminisce things like our first kiss, the birth of a child, the experience of getting your first car, where you were during 911. But not only is this recollection of memory, but it is also the recollection of how you felt during that time. Remembering who you were with, where were you, what kind of day was it? That is our episodic memory. Semantic memory is our general knowledge of the world. So facts and concepts and ideas. This is our acquired knowledge, and it can involve the meaning of words and knowing the names of our closest friends and relatives and their birthdays. These are all facts and things that are part of our world knowledge that we would know about. World history and the long past meaning of words. So damage to this region of the brain can result in difficulty understanding spoken words from others. Damage to the brain can result in not being able to selectively see or hear things. So when I hear caregivers say, oh, he's just selectively not hearing me or purposely tuning me out, that's actually not even possible for them. So they also can't visualize or focus on one thing. Like they can't focus on a TV or watch a child play or concentrate on an activity. They also cannot selectively tune out or hear one specific thing. So this is why if they're in a busy environment with lots of background noise, they can't understand what's going on around them because they can't pull out one auditory sound in the environment. They also have problems identifying an object because they lose the ability to know what a word or an object means. So they might not understand that a banana is something that you eat. It also involves categorizing our vocabulary. So they might not understand the purpose of a toothbrush. With brain damage in the temporal lobe, they cannot learn or retain new information. They don't understand facts, which is why reasoning with a person with dementia doesn't work. They also have trouble with persistent talking. So a prolonged conversation, they can't follow a long conversation. They have trouble recognizing faces, which we've already talked about. They may have increased or decreased sexual desires, and they can also have aggressive behaviors, which is very common in frontotemporal dementia. And we are talking about damage to the temporal lobes. Other behaviors include self-direction. They are unable to self-direct. They have a lack of automatic behaviors, so they don't know when they're hungry. They don't know when they're thirsty. They don't know when they need to toilet. They have a lack of apathy. They can have hallucinations. People with damage to the temporal brain lack impulse control. They don't have any control over realizing what they should or should not do, and that something may be inappropriate. So, consequences for actions. They can have impaired music skills. So, a lot of people talk about people with dementia that can still perform activities that they've done their whole life. So, maybe if they've played piano since they were 5 years old, in a lot of cases, they can still play the piano when they can't do other things. But if they have damage to their temporal lobe, they may not be able to have those music skills any longer. So just imagine how different your life would be, and how difficult your life would be too, if you had impairments in all of these areas. Oh my God, insane. Watch the other videos about the other lobes. Please tell me what you think. Comment. YouTube loves comments, and so do I. Please share this channel with your friends, spread our good work, and subscribe. And please know that I am always, always here for you. Together, we can.